Welcome to Ewood Park.
Jack Walker's dream of transforming this small-town Lancashire club into the best team in England had come true.
Don't worry, I'm only joking.
Oh, you want some? You want some?
So here we are again, guys, with another stadium tour. As you can see, behind me, we've got Ewood Park, the home, of course, to BLACKBURN Rovers. Now, we are going to be doing a stadium tour later on. We're going to do our usual 360, pop in the club shop, do all the normal stuff that we use that term loosely, that we do here on Rise Football Paradise. But as of filming this right here, right now, last night, Blackburn have just been battered 5-0 by Bristol City. Now, they currently sit just 3 points above the relegation zone, but we're going to make many references to those glory days back in the 90s, because if we were to go back in time 30 years ago, just over 30 years ago, Blackburn were finishing second in the Premier League behind Manchester United, which would obviously lead on to the season after, the 94-95 season, the famous season, if you're a Blackburn fan, where they would clinch the Premier League title. You've got the Jack Walker stand in the distance, you've got the Darwin end. This is like an overflow car park, I believe. Something else over there. We're going to discover everything around Ewood Park, but we've got to keep referencing the 90s. You know, if you're a subscriber of the channel, I'm a massive fan of 90s football, anything nostalgia from my childhood. I was born in '89, so I very much remember. It's probably my first full season as a football fan at the age of like 5, watching the 94-95 Premier League season. Now, I think the whole fairy tale element has kind of been lost, especially since Leicester won the Premier League. The Leicester story maybe is a little bit more glamorous, because a lot of people regard Blackburn's win as Jack Walker, their owner, local businessman, entrepreneur from Walker Steel. They regard it as Blackburn buying the title. But if you look back at some of the players they bought, other than the obvious ones like Shearer, because when they did make their way to the Premier League, they did smash the British transfer record for Shearer, but they are the only town football club to have won the Premier League. Now as well, if you are a subscriber, you'll see we've been to Turf Moor a couple of times this season. We've actually watched Burnley play 3 times. I better keep my voice down, because obviously Burnley are the biggest rivals to Blackburn. It's the East Lancashire derby. But on Rise Football Paradise, we're open-minded. We like to experience each and every club, especially in the English Football League. So it would be unfair of me to have a bias towards Burnley and completely disregard their local rivals, Blackburn. So apologies, Burnley fans. I'm going to be nice, but I'm generally nice about every club we visit. Now, again, I don't mean to upset any Blackburn or Burnley fan, but this is my very first time in Blackburn, and my initial impressions are similar to when I first went to Burnley. This East Lancashire feel, the houses, it feels very similar to Burnley, which is it's obviously going to be the case, because they're only a few miles apart. So with all this talk about the 90s, I don't want to disregard Blackburn's history prior to that takeover by Jack Walker in 1991. They've got many claims. For example, they've got a claim of being a founding member of the Football League all the way back in 1888. And did you know they're one of only 3 clubs to have the claim of being a founding member of the Football League and the Premier League in 1992? Who are the other 2 clubs? Let us know in the comments below. Only 3 clubs have that claim. Founding members of the Football League, founding member of the Premier League. They've also got another claim of being one of only 2 clubs to have won 3 FA Cups back to back. Again, let us know in the comments below, who was the other team to win 3 FA Cups in a row? I'm not even sure myself on that one. I didn't put it in my notes, but as I look to my notes, we need to spit out some important information, such as the fact that BLACKBURN Rovers were founded all the way back in 1875. But according to Wikipedia, pinch of salt guys, they've only been playing at Ewood Park since 1890. But I did read up about Ewood Park, and apparently football was played here long before that 1890 date. So I need to stop using Wikipedia as my resource of information, but that's why you're here. You can help us out in the comments below if I do make any mistakes. Let's keep moving. Let's walk along the Jack Walker stand over here. So with those claims of being a founding member of the Football League in 1888 and all those FA Cup wins, they also won the league title in 1912 and 1914. So very much a golden era. Obviously they'd have to wait a long time for another league title in the 90s because they've won 3 first division, first tier league titles. I mean, after that initial success, they did kind of bounce around the leagues, particularly below the top tier of English football prior to Jack Walker's takeover in 1991. Ewood Park, as we know it today, as we can see here, fittingly by the Jack Walker stand, was very, very different. I mean, again, referencing Wikipedia, they've got an old Ewood Park section and a new Ewood Park section. Jack Walker, again, local entrepreneur, sold his steelworks company, cashed in for like 300 million, which sounds a lot of money, but in today's money, probably wouldn't even be able to buy him at a Premier League club. I know they weren't a Premier League club at the time. At the time of Jack Walker taking over Blackburn in the 1990-91 season, they were around the bottom of what is now the Championship, the second tier of English football. They finished that first season, I think it was 19th, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but Walker was like, nah, I'm not settling for this. I'm making some big moves in the summer of 1991. He had to wait a little bit longer. He got Kenny Dalglish as manager in October of 1991. Keeping in mind, Kenny Dalglish was one of the biggest names in Britain in terms of football, obviously built a legacy at Liverpool. So by having Kenny at the helm, Kenny as head honcho, as the main man, as the manager, he could attract bigger stars, which would lead to Blackburn getting promoted in the 91-92 season by winning the playoffs. Now obviously that season was the season before the rebrand to the Premier League. I mean, I've got my retro Premier League jacket on because we're going to have a lot of 90s throwbacks today, guys. I do apologise. It's going to be very 90s orientated. But obviously the association with Blackburn in the 90s, they just go hand in hand, don't they? All this car parking, by the way, around here, this is residential parking only. I did wander down here, but there's loads of parking at Ewood Park, especially if you're coming for a stadium tour like I am today. So yeah, don't worry about this residence parking. Huge car park over there by that overflow car park. So from the looks of it over here as well, in the Jack Walker stand, you've got like a family section. But yes, they would get promoted. And in the summer of 1992, Walker freed up even more funds for Kenny, and he attracted some big players, most notably Alan Bloody Shearer, who was at Southampton at the time, but they smashed the English transfer record and paid 3.5 million for Shearer from Southampton. Famously, Shearer turned down Fergie's Manchester United to come to Blackburn. He was sold a dream, and that dream obviously came true a few years later. So in that very first season in 92-93, keeping in mind they were newly promoted, not as champions, not as runners-up, but through the playoffs, they would finish 4th. I know back then it didn't really mean as much finishing 4th. Nowadays you'd have got in the Champions League, finishing 4th, top 4 is classed as like a big bloody achievement. Not for me. I'm a bit annoyed when people celebrate finishing top. Here we go. Sorry to change the subject, guys. You've got the Rovers store over there in the distance. So what we're going to do, we're going to pass by the Rovers store, go behind it, and then we're going to go all the way around, back to the car, a bit backward, back to the car, and then we're going to go into the Rovers store. When we visit stadiums, generally speaking, we do buy something from the club shop. It's not necessarily a rule. We did have a rule when we had the mission of visiting every Premier League stadium. We had to buy an item from the club shop, but that's not a rule, but maybe it is a rule. Should we make it a rule? Because I'm now trying to complete all the Championship stadiums. So yeah, I don't know, I'll probably buy something. So opposite the club store, you've got the Blackburn end stand. Now the capacity, again, according to Wikipedia, of Ewood Park at the moment, as I look to my notes, is 31,367. Again, completely different this is than what it was prior to the mid-90s. But getting back to those league finishes, finishing 4th in the first season in the Premier League, great achievement. I mean, off the top of my head, I mean, there's Clough's Forest, who obviously did incredibly well after getting promoted over a decade prior to that. But it really wouldn't happen in this day and age, would it? The following season, of course, as I said at the start of the video, in 93-94, they would finish 2nd to Manchester United, but possibly 8 points off them, something like that. And then obviously they'd win the title. So Jack Walker's aim of creating a monster of a club, his childhood club, his aim, his dream came true. So obviously the setting here is not too dissimilar to most old school English football grounds. You've got the terraced housing, again, very similar to the streets around Turf Moor. But I have just looked at Google Maps because I'd seen that there's an Alan Shearer Way, a road named after Alan Shearer. Obviously he's associated as being a Newcastle legend, but of course, I mean, technically he probably enjoyed the most success. Well, he did enjoy the most success in terms of medals here at Ewood Park, at Blackburn Rovers, winning his only Premier League title. Again, snubbed Manchester United to go to Newcastle as well, did Shearer. But I'm sure he has no regrets playing for his childhood club. But I did listen to a podcast on the way here, a 90s football podcast. Quickly, Kevin, will he score? And a Blackburn fan was talking about how he was here at Ewood Park for the return game of Alan Shearer when he signed for Newcastle. And apparently Shearer was getting booed. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. Obviously, Shearer played a massive part in Blackburn's success from like 92 to 96. I think he left in 96 for the 96-97 season, didn't he? No, this isn't Alan Shearer Way. That runs parallel to this road. I've seen a road sign which has the Blackburn badge on it, Alan Shearer Way with the Blackburn badge. So let's go and get a cheeky glimpse of that glorious looking sign. So here we are then, guys, Alan Shearer Way. It's a busy road. Now, rumour has it that apparently at the start of every hour, somebody runs up this road in a Blackburn shirt as tribute to Alan Shearer doing his famous goal celebration with their hand in the air. I did see a bloke earlier on legging it in a blue and white halved shirt. So that's probably true. So when I go to grounds, I normally see how much time I have and I try and tick other grounds nearby off the list. And when I looked on, I think it's Football Ground Map, I was quite surprised to see that Bolton, the reason I'm saying this is we're on Bolton Road. Bolton, the Tough Sheet Community Stadium, the bloody Reebok as we like to call it, is actually closer to Ewood Park than Turf Moor, than Burnley's, by like a mile, I think. So yeah, we always associate rivalries with like Burnley, Preston, East Lancashire type clubs, but nearby, the closest one is actually Accrington Stanley, I think.
Accrington Stanley? Who are they? Exactly.
Here we go then, guys, my favourite bit. We found ourselves a corner of the ground. Look at that, a nice cheeky glimpse inside Ewood Park. We've got a little tease of blue seats. Obviously we don't have to wait long. Again, if you are new to the channel, I'm sorry if I'm acting a bit weird, but I've got a thing for corners of football grounds. This one doesn't disappoint. But I also like the touch Blackburn have over here. We've got the Blackburn Rovers Memorial Garden. Now, the only other memorial garden I've seen whilst doing these football ground tours was at the Hawthorns, quite near, is it the Smethwick end? Sort of the back of the car park. As we make our way into the memorial garden, this one is probably not quite as big as the one at the Hawthorns, but you can see behind me loads of tributes to local Rovers fans. Something sad and depressing, such as a close family member passing away. Obviously doesn't kind of make it a good thing, but to have their memory, their legacy here at Ewood Park, if they were a Blackburn Rovers fan, a really nice touch, liking this. It's a glorious setting. This behind me is like, I mean, I've seen a couple of people with dogs, walking their dogs on this track. Bit of a foresty, woodland kind of area. Nice. Really enjoying this 360 of the exterior so far. I think what I'm going to do to save walking all the way there and coming back, I'm going to flip the camera around. Let's get in that club shop if it's open, because we are early. The tour starts at 11 and I'm here at 9:15, so there's a good chance the shop won't be open. Right, so that makes sense. That's the Riverside stand, because obviously it's next to the river. There we go, Riverside stand. Right then guys, I've got to hand it to Blackburn. That was a cracking club shop. I can imagine this was probably built around that Premier League era time. Again, let me know if I'm wrong. But I'm undecided. I'm definitely going to buy something. If it wasn't for recent videos at Burnley, I probably would have gone for one of those retro shirts, jumpers or whatever. Those Art of Football jumpers are really nice as well. But I think when you wear items of other clubs, you do get a bit of stick, don't you? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get something for the man cave. If you are new to the channel, we've got a bit of a man cave, Footy Paradise HQ as we call it, where we do our weekly live stream from. Unfortunately, we've had the week off from live streaming this week, as we're completely revamping the live streams for next week. A whole new live stream to give it that 90s Sky Sports feel. So over in the Jack Walker stand, we mentioned the family section over there, but you've also got the Premier Suite over there. You've got the director's entrance over there, player's entrance over there, director's guest lounge over there. So the Jack Walker stand, I think, is where it's all happening. Now this might sound a bit weird, but when we went to Molineux, home of Wolves, I mentioned I loved all the branding around the ground. And Blackburn's a bit like that as well. Even on the bins, you've got the Blackburn badge. Weird, quirky things like that we love on Rise Football Paradise. So one thing I'm going to say is everything is really well signposted. If you're an away fan and you head into Ewood Park, away fan zone this way. Through there. Obviously the home fan zone is over by the shop near the reception area, but also in the Darwin end you've got a Legends lounge over there, probably like a hospitality lounge. So yeah, plenty of stuff going on, lots of space despite being close to the terraced housing and the river. Yeah, very impressed so far with Ewood Park. Right, so I have got a bit of time to kill. I got up here mega early, but I've just been looking on my phone as to whether there's any murals and like paintings around the ground. And apparently there's a Blackburn Rovers badge on a house, on a terraced house opposite the ground. And the owner is wants to get rid of the badge because he owns the house and he says it's an eyesore. But residents, neighbours, Rovers fans petitioning for it to not be removed. It sounds really weird because I thought if you own the house you can do what you want with it, but apparently the house was set on fire in 2019 and is completely abandoned, rubbish in the garden, but the residents, the Rovers fans, love that mural, so let's track it down. Hopefully it's still here, hopefully the people won. Right guys, it was an absolute mission to find, but there it is, there's the badge. And now I can understand why people don't want it to go, because even though that is the side of someone's house, obviously the Fox and Hounds pub is there, the beer garden's there, so it's enjoyed by the fans whilst they're drinking a beer outside. In front of me is Ewood Park, in front of Ewood Park's McDonald's. I'm going to grab a burger and then get in there for the stadium tour. Let's go.
Some thoughts while we're up here. I'll give you a couple of minutes to get some thoughts and I'll start talking a little bit about the early history at Rovers.
So you've got a picture of every single team from every single year, which is nice. These are the glory years, 92, 93, 94. Nice. So a nice fact, the Riverside stand was designed by our good friend Archibald Leach. Obviously it was wooden, a lot of it was replaced, but originally Mr. Leach was responsible. And because of that river, they actually had to divert that river away from the ground.
Right, yeah.
Wow.
When feet yourself around, sit down if you can where you can. Right, we're going to start. So I was not increasing or down, but we'll lift up the road on just where, you know where McDonald's is? Ferners Street's up the side of an estate. So we've also got this. Now, I said to you earlier that Blackburn Rovers Ewood Park used to be at the start of the end of the 2000 season. Okay? Unfortunately, something happened.
That's a great touch by Shearer, right to the path of Ridley. Jeff Kenner's made a run on this side. Shearer! Yes! Well, amazing scenes.
Riverside, sorry, it was the Jack Walker, right? I'm just going to take you guys for what a couple more things.
So as we saw earlier, there was a model made for development of a whole new Riverside stand around the time Jack Walker did these three. But obviously in the 98-99 season, Rovers were relegated and attendance has dropped, and they haven't really picked up ever since, especially whilst they're in the Championship. But maybe one day they're back to the Premier League, maybe even win the Premier League once again, they might get the Riverside Stadium done. I mean, Jack Walker had his kind of hands everywhere, all over this ground, and one thing he wanted was for every seat to be not obstructed. No obstructive views, no matter where you're sat. Really good view, wherever I've sat down so far.
This is media. This is the media theatre. This has been here since the day the stadium, this stand was built. It was one of the most important things that Jack Walker wanted to have in this stadium. Okay, because he couldn't believe how they did the press conferences at Rovers, and he wanted it to be a bit more professional. So this was like state of the art at the time. Okay, Worthington Cup, solid silver, ebony wood. Okay, this is a replica, but you can only have a replica if you've won the trophy, or if you're one of the broadcasting companies that's showing the trophies. Okay, FA Premier League trophy. I was at Anfield that day. It was one of the most surreal things I've ever been to. It's his prerogative. He bought the club. He paid the players' wages. Right? But he hated Man United, right? And he said to everybody, he said, clear the room, leave me alone, right? So he picks up the trophy, allegedly, gets the trophy, jams it into the corner of the desk, puts it back in its presentation case, seals it up, gives it to the courier. The couriers take it to Old Trafford. Alex Ferguson takes it out. It's got a dent in it. According to the insurance law, it's his fault. He's got to pay for Man United had to pay for the repair of the trophy. Has got a real big value on it. I don't know. I don't work on bargaining. I watch a lot of it. Get to invest in the league.
Right then guys, that's the end of the tour. We're going to go back out, finish up at the club shop. Obviously I need to buy something. Really enjoyed this tour. Hopefully I've overlaid some clips of stuff I've learned along the way. Really good tour guide, I'll catch his name in a moment. But yeah, hope I haven't offended too many of the Burnley fans that we've gathered as subscribers on the channel. You know, I'm open-minded, I really enjoyed this. Obviously Blackburn were a huge club growing up in my childhood, so it's definitely a massive club ticked off the list for me, and I am going to be returning in a couple of weeks right here when Blackburn play here at Ewood Park versus Sheffield Wednesday. It's a massive game, both clubs fighting for survival in the Championship. So last but not least, what did I buy from the Rovers store? The Rovers store. I bought this. The Blackburn Rovers doormat. Now I was eyeing up the cushions, the shirts, there was so much in the shop, but I thought I've not come across one of these whilst we've done the ground hopping, so I thought this will look quite good in my football paradise, in the man cave, and I'll give you a bit of an update as to what the man cave's looking like on this week's live stream. Check it out on Thursday. Thursday's going to be our new slot for our weekly live stream. Again, a whole new live stream. It's going to be called Soccer PM. So check out the live stream on Thursday where we look at quirky items, get all nostalgic. I mean, if you're a Blackburn fan and you're watching this, what's more nostalgic than a team pack of Blackburn Rovers Corinthian figures, big heads as we used to call them. Ladies and gents, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you are new around here, we do all kinds of stadium tours. Next week on the channel, we've got the Wrexham Stadium tour to be uploaded. We did a tour round the National Football Museum, as well as looking at every item I bought from every single Premier League club shop. Behind the camera there, we've got those items from the City Ground, Nottingham Forest, because obviously that was the last club shop item to tick off the list on the Premier League challenge, whatever you want to call it. And again, if you've enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in one of these videos next to me. I'll see you there.